Hey everybody, this is Captain Fool reporting for duty, giving you my weekly comic book review. So sit back and enjoy. Alright everybody, for those of you that know the drill, I go over a bunch of comic books for the week that I chose to read. Now I didn't have time to read everything, so if I missed something you think I should have read, let me know in the comments below. Also, you may disagree with me on some of my choices. If that's the case, that's alright. Let me know below. Let's just try to keep it civil. My goal is to bring back the old schoolyard days, where we would be in discussing what hero could beat who or what comic book was good and not. And I come armed with my trusty notes, so you'll hear the paper rattle because I do it a little bit old school. I do my grading on a scale of 0 through 10, 7 being average as a 70%. So I'm using schoolyard grading. But that's not all. I also use the League of Comics Geeks to give you other people's views as well as a brief overview of the comic book as well. So let's jump right in. Well, welcome back everybody. If you weren't aware, my last comic book review stirred up a little controversy, but it did exactly what I wanted it to do. It allowed people to talk about comics. There was even some good back and forth without name calling and things like that. Of course, once in a while, you got to get that douchebag. We did have one really good one that somebody thought they were really insulting, telling me how young I must be, but yet they couldn't use proper English at all and couldn't spell for a crap or use any grammar. So it was really hilarious seeing stuff like that. I have to laugh at those. I just move on usually with those, but there was some good discussion, some that made me even think, especially on the topic of the Flash. I talked about a Flash issue in a particular panel. People go, why did you automatically jump to the conclusion of what it was about? What was the banned book? But let's be honest, comic writers tend to skew liberal, and if you look into that comic writer, he probably does as well. So therefore, most likely that's the direction he would have went. Now, I don't know that for sure. And I was never butthurt. I think it's funny how people say, oh, you must have got real mad. Did I sound mad at all? I even had a smile on my face in the thumbnail, and it has a question mark. People are like, oh, do you know what this is? I didn't for sure. That's why it had a question mark. But my point was, it added nothing to the story. And that's the thing. We got into this conversation, too, of are all comics political? And yeah, in a lot of degrees they are. But back in the day, usually they were done more nuanced, not as in your face and telling you how to feel as they are today. It was poor writing. And this week, though, we didn't really get any of that. So let's jump into what I got here. The first one I looked at was Batman and Robin 2024 Annual. Now, I don't normally read annuals very much. I'm usually disappointed by them and what they provide. They're never that good. By the way, if you have more comments, let them in, put them below. We like to have those there. Good conversations were good. I appreciated that conversation we had. Here's my notes here. Well, here we go with this annual Batman and Robin 2024. On the League of Comics Geeks, 105 out of 111 liked it with a 4 average rating. Yeah, that's pretty darn good. I gave it a 7.2. Once again, I'm not big into annuals. Joshua Williamson was the writer. Artist was Howard Porter. And it says camping chaos for the dynamic duo. Yeah, they had Batman and Robin on a road trip, and that stirs up some things with some mercenaries as they're being hunted. It was pretty cool. The main story was good, but I just really couldn't get into the art style of this book. Is this your kind of art style? Though I do like the characterization. I like at the end that Damian pretty much picked up, I think Dad here, Bruce, actually took me here for more than just a camping trip. The story was better than most annuals. I'm going to give it that. The story was better than most annuals that I've read in a long time. And I appreciated that because, as I said, most of them just are, in my opinion, a waste of time and money. And speaking of waste of time and money, let's talk about Batman and Superman World's Finest Annual #1. Now, 105 out of 133 liked it on League of Comics Geeks with a 3.4 average rating. Writer for Christopher Cantwell, Cullen Bunn, Dennis Culver, and Mark Waid, Stephanie Williams. And then we had some different art styles too there. So, like Edwin Gallman, George Fornes. Once again, if I mispronounce these names, it's not out of meanness. Kind of keep that in mind. And so this one was unlike the Batman one. This one was a bunch of stories. There was the main story, and then next there was Metamorpho and some other ones that were involved with Bumblebee, things like that. And here's the thing, we get a setup issue. This is what this is. This is a setup issue for the next story. So I don't really like that, because then you probably miss that if you're going to continue reading World's Finest, but maybe they'll do a well enough job of picking up for anybody that didn't get the annual. The first story sets it up well. I'm going to give you that. It's interesting. But they have a weird thing. Now, granted, this is an alternate world, but in this alternate world, Black Canary's a vegan. Yeah, right. You know, they gotta do stuff like that. The next one was a Metamorpho story, and it was okay. It had a thing with his father, so that was interesting. I tend to wonder, based on that Metamorpho story, is DC planning to do more with the character? But overall, the thing is, with this issue, the other stories were sort of just a waste of time. It wasn't anything special. There was nothing great here. Nothing make go, oh, you need to get this annual. It had something great. So it was just mid. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. I didn't see anything here to pick this book up. I would skip it. I just don't think it's worth your time. Hey guys, today's video is sponsored by My Wallet. Yeah, I'm not trying to push any kind of wallet or pimp any wallet out. What I mean is it's sponsored by my personal wallet and the cash that comes out of it to pay for these things. If you want to help with this, you can hit like, subscribe, that notification bell. Those are great ways to get started. But if you find yourself in a position where you can help the channel more, we have a Patreon and a subscribe star down below that you can click on those links. And for as little as $1 a month, you'll have special videos and things to just you, music that you can get. Or maybe if you wanted to, a one-time donation just to help out, we have a Streamlabs link down below. Or we also have, if you go to the Patreon shop, you could buy a song for like $3. I wish I could put them a little lower, but that's the minimum they allow for that. So there's lots of options. Sometimes you might even see an Amazon link. If you want to buy anything through Amazon, click on my link first, then go through there. That'll give you a couple pennies, possibly that way too as well. So there's lots of ways you can help out the channel, because without you, it would not be possible. So thank you, everybody. And let's get back to the video. The next one I want to talk about is an interesting one. This is a series that has its last issue. It is canceled. That's Avengers Incorporated number 5 with 76 out of 82 liking it with a 4 average rating. Now here's the thing here. I think this benefits from being canceled. Now hear me out. The writer's Al Ewing, the artist is Leonard Kirk. And it's... Well, let's get into the title, the story though. This is the wrap up of it, okay? All this detective work here. And then we find out that Hank Pym is alive, and he's the leader of the new Lethal Legion. He's trying to take out Ultron. So it's pretty cool. I think what this issue does is it does a good job of fixing the mess they've done with Hank Pym. Because, you know, that whole thing with him and Ultron mixed together and things. So this is the final issue, and I think the story benefits from it. I gave this issue a 7.5, by the way. And the reason I think this story benefits from it is Ewing tends to drag things out, in my opinion, too long. He writes it and drags out a story to way more issues than it needs to be. So, for example, he'll take 10 issues to do something he probably should have had done in 6. By forcing this book to end quickly, I think it actually moved the pace up better in the last couple issues and made it better for it. But maybe I'm wrong. That's my thoughts. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this book if you took time to read it. I thought the art was okay, and I do think there was a solid conclusion here. We don't have Hank and Jan back together, but we have Hank continuing on his mission. And I really think it did a good job of fixing up the storyline of what they've done with Hank Pym, if you will. Sort of like putting the crayons back in the crayon box to be able to set things right, to utilize the character once again. Some people reading League of Comics Geeks felt that the final issue did feel rushed, but as I said before, I think it's for the better. But that's just me. I do wish this series wasn't canceled, but if it's going to be canceled, let's look at the bright side of it. I think it worked out for the story. And the next one I want to talk about is Avengers Twilight. We're not jumping and killing vampires that sparkle in the night, thank goodness. The writer's Chip Zdarsky, and the artist is Daniel Acuna. And I probably butchered it. And this one, 182 out of 185 liked it with a 4.3 average rating, which lets me know to indicate I think some people are picking up this book, which makes me happy. With the clock ticking to New Year's Day and the world against him, Captain America must build an army to save America. Will his surviving friends sign up, or is he going to have to lead a ragtag group called the Defenders against the expert military marksman known as Bullseye? I gave this issue 7.4. So I think it was good too. I didn't give it quite as high as they did. I think the cover is pretty fantastic. It seems that, though, but after reading this, that Cap's better without Rosa. I'm sorry, but if she can't understand why Cap's doing what he does and what he's doing, did she ever really understand Steve in the first place? I'm sure she's going to come around. The art's okay. It's an okay style for this. It's an interesting story, most definitely. I'm enjoying that. But one thing I noticed there too is Marvel keeps doing this. They're trying to make Kamala Khan like she's something really big and special to the Marvel universe. Let's be honest, she never has been. They keep trying, right? Like when they killed her for a whole day and everybody knew she was coming back and they changed her to a mutant instead and all kinds of stuff like, oh, she's so important. She's never been. I mean, really, come on. They keep trying to push her. She can't sell a book, but they're going to keep trying to make her happen. And I'm not necessarily against that. Don't get me wrong. But my point is this. With all the characters, all of them out there, is Kamala really the best one he could have went to? Maybe so, because maybe the rest are all dead, like Spider-Man when Peter Parker passed away. That was, that was pretty cool in a heart-wrenching way and well done. Another thing about this book, though, is it has the Thunderbolts. Unfortunately, to me, I think the Thunderbolts in this are underwhelming. I would have liked to see a little more detail, a little bit more interesting characterization with them. I think they could have done a better job. But overall, not a bad book, and I'm going to continue reading it. And I think you might want to check it out, too, if you're a Steve Rogers Captain America fan. The next one I want to talk about is Incredible Hulk number 8. 132 out of 135 liked it with a 4.2 average rating on League of Comics Geeks, where I gave it a 7.2. Not quite as high, but I did like the issue. Writer is Philip Kennedy Johnson. The artist is Nick Klein. And it says the epic conclusion of Hulk's throwdown with the World War II Ghost Rider and the War Devils. And I have to say, I like the World War II Ghost Riders. Pretty cool. Personification of rage and the spirit of vengeance have their own vengeful spirit to conquer. When the Hulk and the undead Ghost Rider of the past finally come face to face with the monstrosity controlling the War Devils, a bone-crushing brawl follows. Now, I did just say I like this Ghost Rider, but here's one thing I do have a problem with. We're starting to get too many Ghost Riders now. I mean, how many do we really need? It takes away from what makes the character special. We already have a bunch running around, now we have another one. But I do think this one is cool. Decent art and decent action in this issue, and I have to admit, I am enjoying this story. I find it interesting. It's decent pacing. If you like a dark and mystical side of the Hulk, which he's had for a long, long time, I think you're going to like this. I just hope the pace continues to be good and the story continues to move on, and we'll see what the Hulk's connection with that little girl is and what it ends up actually doing later on in the story. Now, if you like some more old school stuff, there is Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars Battle World number 3. If you recall, the original Secret Wars was created to sell toys, and that it did just that. But yet, I think it still cranked out a pretty cool story with a lot of things that had ramifications for years to come in the Marvel Universe. With this, though, 13 out of 14 liked it with a 4 average rating, which makes me think not a lot of people are picking this up, which I think is a little bit sad because the writer is Tom DeFalco, and I like Tom DeFalco stuff. It's nice to see some more old school style of comic book writing. It has some cool covers for this book as well, and the artist is Pat Olliffe, and he did all right as well. Amid the chaos, there comes a calamity. Baron Zemo and the villains have the heroes in their grasp. But what discovery by the Hobgoblin will threaten to tear the shaky alliance asunder? Featuring Spider-Man and Human Torch. It has some other characters too, like the Falcon. Yeah, not Falcap, the actual Falcon. I liked him that way. And here we have the heroes fighting villains like Absorbing Man. And then at the end, some things get turned around. And boy, is this sending Peter Parker through the ringer. I gave this book a 7.6, almost as high a score as they did. I thought it had decent art, good action, good pacing, and it's just a fun story. If you like traditional, fun, throwdown comic book stories loaded with action, this is one to check out. That is the last one. This is one you definitely, in my opinion, should check out. Now, it might not be for everybody. If you're a G.I. Joe fan, definitely. I actually think you would like this book, even if you're not a G.I. Joe fan, though. And that's Duke number 2. 140 out of 145 liked it with a 4.2 average rating. Wow, that's pretty good. You ready? I almost gave it as high of a score as well. I gave it an 8. And the book is just an interesting read. Writer is Joshua Williams. I think he's doing a good thing with this character, giving some insight into Duke. The artist is Tom Riley. That's maybe the one thing I'm not 100% keen on. I'm not real big on his art style, but otherwise it's pretty good. Codename G.I. Joe continues. Conrad Hauser, aka Duke, is on the run from the very government he trusted, investigating secrets that may be more than meets the eye. Transformers. Little nod there to the Transformers. Now he's about to meet the last person any G.I. Joe fan ever expected at the end of the issue. Yes, at the end of the issue, I'm going to tell you, Duke gets caught. But who does he get locked up by? Oh, another classic G.I. Joe character, or should I say Cobra character, that G.I. Joe fans always seem to love. There's just something about this character that we do love. It's a good story, great characterization. The art is okay. It might be your style or not. There's fun moments in this, and it's definitely some good action. So if you like good characterization, interesting stories, this might be a good book for you, once again, even if you're not a G.I. Joe fan. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's go ahead and have that old school comic book discussion like we did last week. I really do appreciate it. As I said, there was a couple butt heads that had to come out with some really snarky things, but you know, that's okay. I got my big boy pants. I expected some of that to happen with that title and things. Like, how dare you use a clickbait title? I put something that's true with a question mark to get discussion, and guess what? It worked. That's what I wanted, some old school discussion. Let's get some here too. All right, everybody, thank you for taking your time to watch this. I really do appreciate all of you. And speaking of appreciation, appreciate these people here. Without these people here, I'm telling you, this channel wouldn't be possible. These people are amazing, and they continually support the channel. So make sure to take some time to support them too. Check them out. There's some good channels from these people too, like Comic Boom and things, where we might not always agree on everything political. I'm pretty sure we don't agree much on anything political, but we enjoy comics together and the discussion of comics. And I love watching his videos as well as others here too. And I think you should check it out. All right, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. Until next time, keep it frugal.